We are on a mission to save and revitalize independent pharmacy.
On the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast, you'll get actionable business advice.
Hear stories from industry leaders.
And share a laugh or two with us.
Fuel your passion for pharmacy.
One conversation at a time.
So Lisa Faast, welcome to the Catalyst podcast, Catalyst Pharmacy podcast.
Yeah, come on, get it right.
I'll get it right.
Catalyst.
We'll dub it out.
Welcome to the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast.
I don't usually do that. She usually does that. So see how much better she did. So do you ever? You have a. They were talking about you have a really good setup and a really good podcast yourself. Do you ever have guests in the studio, or is it always remote?
I think I've always done remote. Even when we've had people, because it's kind of hard, to do the whole little next to each other and not you're both on the video.
Yeah.
I think even when people have been close, we're close, we're, I don't know, 10 miles from one another.
Right.
I think I've always done the video just because it's easier for the viewer to kind of see the speaker. But now I'm actually in my office. So we actually finally moved into our remodeled house. So I actually have space now for people. So who knows what kind of parties might happen here. So
nice.
Yeah.
And you're in South Lake.
And then also the interesting of doing a podcast with the person actually in the room is that, I'm going to sit here and talk to you. And I know Jeff is over here to my left listening, but when we talk to each other, I've watched some of our episodes and it's weird because it's I don't want to see this side of my face that often. It's there's a good side and there's a bad side. Maybe Jeff needs to sit on this side of me.
We should try that. We should mix it up.
Actually, I had a battle with the curling iron and the curling iron won, but you should see the other guy. I feel like that should be
that would. Where's the can we in the future insert a drum roll there? That would need to be a
No, I feel like that Johnny Cash has that song, I fought the law and the law won. It's where's the girls version of that? I fought the curling iron and the curling iron won.
Who was that? You were talking about a TikTok with a lady who had a crooked side. She had broken her nose. Oh. And one side of her nose.
So there was this, it was really interesting. And I thought the piece that really interested me about it was the things that they thought about for this movie. So this actress, and it was with the Olsen twins when they were younger. And the woman starting out, all of the shots, if you notice, are on this one side of her face because her nose had been broken twice. And so if they filmed her on this side, she looked crazy and evil. And so
because of the little crooked in her nose.
Yeah. And so they focused the movie on this side of her face. But then as she progressed, her character's crazy progressed in the movie, then they started shifting the camera to focus on the crazy side, looking side of her face because of the broken nose. And she also said they did some things with makeup and that she had this wig that she wore. And as the crazy got worse, they moved the wig back further and further and further.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So
women with foreheads are crazy. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I seem to be really outnumbered today. So.
Sounds like we need to bring bangs back.
Need to bring in bangs back and then I wonder if that is true. I wonder if there's some that women with bangs are perceived to be less crazy.
I don't know, because my husband, that is the one rule that he has that he's I don't care what you do with your hair, but you're not allowed to have bangs. And I was were you traumatized and passed by bangs?
See, my husband, it's when I cut all my hair off.
Yeah, you do that anyway.
I have a lot of hair. And so we live in Texas. It's hot here. And there's times in mid-spring, I'm you know what, screw it, it's time, cut it all off. And I'll go chin length. And one time I did it, I came home and my kids go, "Oh, mom's home." And they came running around the corner and my son goes, "Nope," turns around and runs the opposite direction. My daughter is like, "Why?" And my husband was like, "You need to stop doing that."
You need to stop doing that. I'm just thinking about how I met your mother in the hot crazy matrix, right? How does cutting your hair how does cutting your hair short affect that? Do you have to be nicer? Is there
Yeah, I think.
Or do you get to be crazier? How does that?
Yeah,
I always wanted the balls to go chin length. I've never had the guts to
it's
do
liberating.
That. So I just applaud you for going that way. So
it's liberating. I will. Yes, it is liberating. I love it. I'm about to do it again.
It is about that time of year.
It's liberating.
It is
She needs a lot of.
Yeah.
She seems very constrained and.
Well, okay. So for people who
non-liberated.
don't watch and listen, my hair is like midway down my back. But yeah, so I went ahead and I'm keeping it long right now because we have a dive trip planned in June. And so it's easier for me to put my hair in braids when we're diving underwater, whereas the shoulder length, it's harder for me to put back in stuff and the goggle and all that. It's just a mess.
Things I never think about.
Yeah. See the problems us women have to deal with.
Yes, I know.
There's not
Respect.
enough appreciation.
Respect.
Thank you. Yes,
I know.
thank you.
I had to get a lecture on what podcast makeup required. So, hey, on podcast mornings, the reason I'm in later. So I think her and Mark and I were out, and she was like, okay, you're going to see this. All right, look, these are the phases. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm good.
Eyeliner's not an easy task.
I'm going to post those pictures.
Eyeliner and mascara are the enemies. Because you fudge up, it's all messed up.
Enough about us. We're
And
here today
makeup,
to learn
yeah.
about Lisa.
Yes, we are. So, Lisa, you're in Southlake, Texas, which Jeff and I are in the Southlake, Colleyville, Grapevine area also. But our office is in Irving.
Just say what you want to say. How did you get to be a badass, Lisa? Tell us about that.
It comes when you have more than 20 years experience, like you reach badass level. Like when you make as many mistakes as I have,
yeah.
Okay.
You hopefully learn from those mistakes.
I love that.
And
Which that's the
then
greatest
become an
college
expert.
ever.
So,
yeah.
The college of life. That's the greatest education in college ever.
Degree from hard knocks. Yeah.
Yep.
It's yeah, I always like to say, like, I have done everything wrong and everything right you can do in pharmacy. Like, and what's great is all of those mistakes, I was able to overcome most of them, but now I'm able to help others. Like, they can avoid pitfalls. Like, they don't have to do all the same things I did. So,
Yeah, and you give it a lot of energy. You're doing a podcast. How often is your podcast?
4 to 6 episodes a month. Like, I'm terrible at like schedules. I go on a rampage and do a whole bunch, or whatnot. But yeah, we try to post fairly regularly and try to keep it very timely. And there's so much to talk about. Like, I'm sure you probably get this, Jess. And it's like, well, don't you run out of new things to talk about? It's like,
Never.
No, this is pharmacy.
Yep. Like first, and there's so many things happening. Like, I could probably literally do a podcast a day for the whole year and still not run out of things to talk about.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yesterday, Lisa, LinkedIn, she just put on there, and I think she has a video that if y'all haven't seen, check it out, talking about credit card fees.
Yes.
We had a good exchange. A lot of the pharmacies are finding out that it's possible to add on credit card fees. I'd had some concerns. I texted her about it. She texted me right back. I'm special. So
yeah.
She might not text you back.
That's right. You're special.
But one of my concerns was, hey, we were kind of a person's paying more than their copay. Is that a are you allowed to do that? Especially with a Medicare patient. If a Medicare patient had a $5 copay, can I charge $5.75? But Lisa had done the work. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, give us the breakdown of that.
yeah, so when kind of this movement, I'll say, because it's not just in pharmacy, it's really, from restaurants to regular retail stores to online commerce, there's kind of this movement of shifting the burden of credit card fees from the company to the consumer. And so when this really started picking up probably about 2 years ago in pharmacy, because my assumption was right along with yours, Jeff, was that, oh gosh, we can't charge more than the copay, so there's no way a pharmacy can do this. But I have some really awesome friends that are pharmacy lawyers and pharmacy consultants. And, I used to teach a PBM class with them, and I've read the contracts, and, I've kind of been in that world for a few years. So I was like, let me go ask the experts, like, what do they think? And so we got a little powwow together, and we went back and reread through all the contracts and read some opinions and talked to some other people. And, it all came out that it's okay because one, you're not charging more than the copay. The patient is paying $5, I'll just say, for their drug. That's all you're charging for the copay. If they want an optional service, whether it's an extra bottle of Tylenol, they want delivery of their medications, if they want things in 10 bottles or, something extra, you're allowed to charge for those extra services. Those are implicitly included, everything you could do in that reimbursement, if you will, for that prescription. It is really important that you have to have ways that people can pay you where there is no charge. You can't just say, we only accept credit cards and there's always a 3% fee or whatever. Or you can't make that the only way people can pay. So as long as, they can pay cash, they can pay check, they can, whatever.
And debit cards. Isn't it true that debit cards, you can't mark up? Is that accurate? I thought I saw that.
The debit cards, the debit card fees are a lot lower than credit cards. They're usually a flat fee. They're depending on obviously your processor. And how all of this works. And so there's a couple things. You bring up a good point. So there's a couple things to take into play. There's the PBM contract side, which we're kind of addressing, and then it's like commercial, federal. There's a lot of things to think of there. But then there's also like commerce laws and like money laws, and states and counties can actually have different rules. And so what I've learned in kind of researching different things as pharmacies have reached out to me is these obviously vary by location and vary either by state or county or different things. And so some states are like, man, we're hands off, like whatever y'all want to do, like it's consumer free business, that they'll decide. And then others are like, you can't charge a surcharge for a credit card fee, but you can charge a cash discount, know. And so in those instances, for example, then layering that on top of your PBM rules, you can't discount a copay.
Right.
So if you were going to do that, you can't give people a cash discount on a copay because you have to collect the full amount. So it's like, you can't do that on copays, but you could do it with your OTC, or you could do it with, something else that isn't controlled by that PBM contract. And so there are definitely some nuances there. And what I tell people is this is not a pharmacy issue. The best place to get information on what's happening in your neck of the woods, in your county, your state, your parish or whatever, reach out to your local business associations, whether that's, SBA or BDB, or maybe you're even local banks. They provide a lot of guidance on some of this stuff. Get ingrained with like the local business area, so you can get educated on what's required for yours. But it is an awesome way to move some of those fees. And some pharmacy owners are completely against it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would ever think of that. And then other pharmacies owners are like, man, I now save $10,000 a month because my consumers are paying my credit card fee. So I think it's cultural. I've in certain areas, here in Texas, I'm seeing more and more and more where businesses are adding a credit card fee or adding a surcharge or things like that. And so I think it's a little bit of culture of like what your other businesses are doing. If you're a pharmacy and you're the only business in town that is doing that, probably not going to go over so well. Right. But if every other boutique and every other place of business is adding it and you just join the pack, probably nobody's going to bat an eye.
Yeah. One thing to note, though, in that when you're talking about, hey, I could do my OTCs and copay, I do believe the brands require you have to do it across the board to everything. You can't do some things with a credit card markup and some things not on part of your brand as the card brands, the merchant agreement. Yeah,
it's probably, and it's probably hard to do it differently anyways. I mean, like when you set all this up in your systems, it's not something that you're just bouncing around and changing from time to time. You could do things where, because normally how it works is the POS system, sometimes the POS systems aren't set up to do this. So if you want to charge people the surcharge or where they pay the fee, you're usually using like an external POS system, which does create some complexity and does create some extra steps. But you could say, hey, for all my people that I do monthly billing for, a lot of pharmacies still do monthly billing. And if you pay a monthly billing all at once in your credit card, there's no fee, because honestly, charging an entire month's worth of fees in one transaction is a whole lot less costly than, 20 individual transactions throughout the month. And so, so like there's other ways that you could probably do that. But you're processing, you're processing it different, at the point of sale.
You're using a different merchant account. Card. Yeah.
So
I keep waiting to get the caller like, and we're going to add that to the pharmacy system so that they can figure that out in different places. But I'm waiting to get the call like, we want to add tips. It's everybody's adding tips now. It's
everybody, everywhere there's tips. And I'm like, I look at my husband, and we're generally pretty generous tippers, but I'm like, are we supposed to tip? like,
I know. I want to. We had a leaders meeting this last week. I needed an app so I could walk around and ask everybody what tip they wanted to give me. Tip 5, 10, 15% for my services.
There was a series that did that, right? Because I remember Mark and Mackie watching some series that you walked around, and Justin Timberlake also did. It was called Time, where you like work. As you worked, you were given amount of time, and that was your amount of time to live.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was another TV series that came out, and it was like you gave people ratings. And I guess that was
was that Black Mirror?
I remember that show.
Black Mirror?
And your worth was like how people rated you.
Yes,
and
right. And whether you could get into places or stuff, like everybody rated everybody.
Yes. Yep. And then based on your rating is how people would go, yeah, I'm not going to associate with you. And it was sad because you'd watch people go, can you give me a rating? Can you give me a good rating?
Yeah, it is interesting.
So were you asking for a rating?
I was. I feel bad about it now.
He's walking around. Can you rate me?
So Lisa has a consulting group, right? And what the name of that is? DiversifyRx.
DiversifyRx is the name of the company.
Yep.
And everything we do is under that. But we have a membership, which is Pharmacy Badass University, which is for pharmacy owners that want to make changes in their business. They want to improve their profitability. So we have a membership that people can join. That's a paid membership. I always let people go consume all of our free resources. You mentioned the podcast, but we put out blogs, weekly emails. We do the YouTube videos. Because we really are just trying to help pharmacy owners in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, weekly awesomeness. I get those.
Yes,
and I read them, and I love them.
Do you feel more awesome because of it?
I do. Yeah. I really do.
I think you are. I've seen a change. I've seen an effect. But keep going.
It's all about the energy. We got to transfer the energy, and you can even transfer it in an email. That's for sure.
This I think is important because one of the things. Oh my. Lisa used to work for PDS. She was in marketing PDS. And I think one of the things I saw over time, and probably once PDS was bought by private equity, and I feel like I don't have any facts on this, but I feel like the new bosses started saying, you're giving away too much stuff for free. People aren't signing up for memberships. You're giving away stuff too much for free. And I went to Lisa's show that she had in
February.
No, but I went to the one before in Dallas.
Okay.
We weren't there the whole time. We went in there just to kind of shake some hands and kiss some babies and help them pack up. But Mickey Fine was talking to him, and he was like, Lisa has a bunch of does. She helps me so much. I feel obligated to buy the membership. Right?
That's Gittimer. People buy from people they like.
Well, it's a value first.
It is value first marketing. Yes.
And it's saying that, hey, this is a trustworthy group. Mm-hmm. If I provide them enough value, they're going to support me. And I think you're seeing that. I think that's super. So I wanted to, when you plug that made me think about what Mickey said. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and the way that I look at it is I always want to be behind on the, exchange of brownie points between me and a pharmacy owner. Like, I always want them to have gotten more from me than I have gotten from them. I always want to be trailing. And so I have this innate need, and it comes from actually like deep, like insecurities. That's like, there's always double-edged swords to everything, but I have this deep innate need to be useful to people and to be valued. And the way that I do that is I overgive, and I love sharing. And so it's like, I always want people to feel like they love me and they value me, and I'm the most valuable thing in pharmacy because I've given them so much and they've had to give so little in return. Like that's like my motto. And so I love giving out the free resources. And your assessment, Jeff, I would agree with that. That kind of what happened in some other organizations. But I'm a big believer in I want to save the industry. I want to help independent pharmacies thrive. I want independent pharmacies to transfer to other independent pharmacy owners. All of that. And I can't do that one-on-one. I'm just one person, even my team. Like we don't have enough people to help, 16 to 20,000 pharmacies out there. And so, a one way to do that is with a bunch of free content. And if you're the type of pharmacy owner that can read a blog or watch a video and then go do the thing, like, more power to you, hand claps, high fives, like, go do that. But not every pharmacy owner is like that. And some of them need the hand holding and some of them need more support. So then, that's where we kind of created the membership from. And then, of course, we have the annual conferences where a lot of people come to the conference, they get what they need, they get the information they need, and then they go forth and implement, which is fantastic. That's great. I'm happy. They're happy. Everybody's happy. I don't need to, squeeze constant money from them, because eventually I believe it all goes around. They'll tell somebody else and they'll tell somebody else, and, the world becomes a better place.
I love it. Yeah, that's with businesses, I always think about just focus on providing more value than you cost. And if you just do that, you're going to be profitable and you're going to be successful. And
absolutely,
it may not be rocket at first. Although I would say I see some rocket, some industry stuff, but there's definitely a rocket engine under your business. But I think it's great.
Yeah. So, okay, you own 4 pharmacies. So what would you say of the new implementation stuff that you've sent out in the last 3 months that you've implemented into your pharmacy that makes for a good success story?
Well, you're part owner in some pharmacies, right?
Yes, I'm a part owner. That's a good question. So one of the things that I've done recently is with one of the newest pharmacies that we bought, the one in Oklahoma. I've been kind of sharing that journey with our readers. So you mentioned the weekly awesomeness. At the bottom of that, I have what I call the new pharmacy update. So I've been giving like weekly updates. I just did the one this week, so we're on week 33. So we've owned that pharmacy for. I started it a couple weeks after, but about 33 weeks, we've owned it. And I've been sharing all the things that I've been doing in that pharmacy. The good, the bad, and ugly. This week's actually an ugly. Like the title of it is like How to Piss Your Employees Off by Lisa Faast. Like, we had a little thing. And so, sharing the good and sharing the bad and that journey. And there's a couple of things that I always do in our pharmacies, like when I first purchased them, in order to improve profitability. And part of that is sharing that journey. I don't believe there's a magic bullet in pharmacy that would make all our lives easier.
Right.
If it was just like one thing everybody can go do. But the simple things that don't cost a lot of money, I call quick wins. And like inside our membership in our pharmacy profit roadmap, the whole first section of the pharmacy profit roadmap is quick wins. It's like all these things that it's like, doesn't take much time, doesn't take much money, but can have a big impact. And so one of them that I always do is I'm a huge fan of direct billing workers' compensation. It's good in about 38 states. So it's not good everywhere. Sometimes the laws in the states aren't always advantageous for the pharmacies. They're a little more advantageous towards the PBMs. But if you're in one of the good states, just converting any current work comp patients you have now to direct billing instantly makes them more profitable. Like instantly, instead of making $5 a prescription, you're making $100.
Wow.
And it's not costing the state anymore. It's not costing the insurer anymore. It's just you're cutting out that PBM. The PBM is normally keeping about 90% of that reimbursement. And so all you're doing is cutting them out. And so it's like, that's a quick way to improve profitability. Really, it's the employees. So when are your employees like even aware of profit? Like, is profit even like on their radar? Like, do they understand how they contribute to profit? And the biggest changes that we've done in Oklahoma was implement an employee bonus program where they all have things they're responsible for and for improving. And they get bonused for that. And so right now with our employees, every employee has 2 metrics they're responsible for. One, everybody has the same, which is a thank you card program. I know that sounds really cheesy and really simple, but it is fantastic, especially for brick and mortar community-based businesses.
There's some people that actually appreciate those little things.
Yep.
Everybody does. Nobody gets handwritten, notes in the mail anymore. And so one of the first things we do is implement a thank you card program. And the thank you card program is every employee, for every shift you work, you have to write one thank you card. Okay. So if you work 3 days a week, then you write 3 that week. If you work, so work
it's just one shift, then one writing,
one shift, one card. And so the employees, what they do is we have a log and they write who they wrote their card to for each day that they worked. Okay. They turn that in at the end of the month. And if they did one for each day, they get $200 bonus. So they get $200 for doing thank you cards, which is a pretty good chunk of money for not much work.
Yep.
I'd sit there and write so many freaking cards.
I'm waiting for mine.
It's like 10 cards a day. Let's go.
And so it starts to create, because I firmly believe, especially brick and mortar businesses, and this is where when people start getting marketing advice, it's really important who's giving the advice and what type of businesses that advice is from, because e-commerce and online stores, they need a market completely different than brick and mortar, community, especially healthcare related stuff. Like it's a different way you want to market, because there's a lot of relationship in that doesn't exist when you're an online business, or doesn't exist when you don't have that personal relationship. And so a thank you card program can have a huge and very little cost, huge impact, massive impact for teeny tiny little cost. And I will tell you, your employees are going to feel awkward, especially your millennials. They're like, writing a thank you card, like, I don't even know how to do this. And so we have little samples that they can start with. That's just, thank you for coming in today. We appreciate you. That's it. It can be as simple as that.
All right, let me challenge that. Let me challenge that a little bit. Okay, in the one size fit all. That there's an age demographic somewhere that thank you card doesn't mean that much to. Would you agree with that or not?
I absolutely agree with that.
All right, so
I will push back. I have had young patients walk in saying, that was really awesome. I've never gotten a written card before. Yeah. And then you have the 80-year-old grandma that comes in and says, I keep this in my purse all the time, honey. I look at it all the time.
Nice.
Like, I love it. Like, I would disagree with that, because it's different, because it breaks the pattern, which is really what you want it to do, is you want it to break the pattern.
So I wasn't going with the not. I was just going to try to challenge something to think about out there.
Subset
is saying, what if that was a personal text message, right? What if for the pharmacies they're using messaging instead of what they were going to write in there, they went over to the computer and messaged and said, hey, so-and-so, it was really cool meeting you today in the pharmacy. Your smile brought a light, or whatever they would normally, your smile, and more in their piece.
I get it. It just does not have the same impact.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's an either or. I think you can do both.
Yeah.
I think you can have an automation system, because we use Pioneer. We have automation systems and, the text messages and things like that. But getting a handwritten note that's stamped and sealed and somebody signs it and it just has a different impact.
I absolutely agree with you. So like getting something that has somebody's signature they're recorded somewhere that they can just automate and just stamp. I look at that as just like, okay, somebody hit a checkbox for you. And I got an example of that this week, and it's like, I'm with you. I'm absolutely all about, I appreciate more the handwritten notes that, or even if it's like, hey, this is a thank you card we send to customers, and then you get the people in the pharmacy that sign it, and some of them actually take the time to go, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you. I'm 100% that personally handwritten.
100. You're 100%.
I'm a hundo.
I mean, it's raining everywhere 100% of the time.
Make it rain.
It's raining love. It's 100% love.
Thank you for helping. That was awesome. I get a lot of appreciation digitally. This means 10 times more than something digital, and I keep it by my desk. I actually have several
that's going
things
on.
cards,
That's going on like your board or something.
See, now I'm feeling bad because I texted her thank you yesterday. I'm feeling like I should have written a card.
No, and
I'm going at lunch and getting a card. Lisa needs a card.
That is a great example because
you know, when I get these, you know, they become tangible. They become the desk art. That's your desk art. No, I'm totally with you. Like I still have the birthday cards sitting on my bookshelf in my office where my team wrote me nice birthday cards.
I'm expecting a thank you card from you.
Keep expecting.
You're not paying her $200 a month to do it.
Nope.
I don't know. I'm pretty good to you.
Yeah. So that's one of the first things we implement is direct billing workers' comp, doing the thank you card program, and then giving ownership of something to the employees. And it's going to be based on kind of, you know, what's happening in the pharmacy, what they're, I always like to have conversations. And what are you passionate about? What do you like? What do you hate? You know, I don't want to give you something if you're absolutely going to hate it, but we come up with something else that they're responsible for, whether it's, you know, OTC sales or number of OTC COVID tests or, you know, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then that becomes the other part of their bonus. And so that's worth $300. So my goal is to give $500 a month to every employee as a bonus. $200 is the thank you card and $300 is the other thing that they're responsible for. And that really helps get them some skin in the game, some extra skin in the game. And that can really help to try to turn I won't say turn pharmacy around. It wasn't like it was bad before, but turn it into a more profitable type of thing. Like when everybody's goals are aligned and they're, you know, we're all working together, you just go so much farther than, you know, everybody being scattered in, you know, different areas.
I love it.
So I have an idea to even take that personal touch to a whole nother level. Okay. So number one, this tip came from a pharmacist. Well, she's not a pharmacist. She's the lead pharmacy tech that like is their version, their pharmacy badass. So she took her Bitmoji out of her phone of herself, emailed it to herself, and then attached it to her profile picture within Pioneer. So when she messages her patients in the Rx Local app, her Bitmoji shows up with her wonderful purple hair. I'm going to give the shout out to Serena. For this one because I loved it. She said people come in and they see her Bitmoji with the purple hair, and as soon as they walk in, they see Serena with the purple hair, and they're like, Serena, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So here's my idea to take what you're doing with your with your people to the next level. So within Pioneer, there is the option to assign somebody as a caregiver. So I'm in charge of filling your prescriptions and making the communication and talking to you, and we're establishing a relationship. Fine. And then another piece in Pioneer was within the comments section, you're allowed to put like, you know, personal touch type comments. So if that patient tells you something personal, make sure you put it on their profile. So then when you go to write their card, you know, hey, I hope your dog has a better day and heals from that foot, or your aunt gets better, or something like that.
That dog needs to heal from the foot. Y'all do a lot of dog kicking at your house.
I love that. That's actually one of our strategies in terms of having that closer relationship. One of the things that we always put up by the cashier station, we usually use like an old like a calendar. And so if somebody comes in and says, oh yeah, I'm going on vacation next week, or it's our anniversary in 2 weeks, or, you know, they mention things like that. We write it on the calendar, you know, son's graduating college, or, you know, whatever. And then it becomes fodder for the thank you cards, because thank you cards is kind of a generic statement, but it can be, the message inside the card can be anything. It can be, hey, I noticed it was your birthday today. Happy birthday. Or, hey, and welcome back from your vacation. Can't wait to see you in the pharmacy again. You know, so it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a quote unquote thank you.
Are they writing any of those with ChatGPT?
No, they're handwritten.
Yeah, no, but getting what to say with ChatGPT.
Getting what to say, yeah. You know,
are you playing a lot with AI? You doing some stuff with AI?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's
we
great.
did the first time I did, I had a lot of fun with it. It's kind of a rabbit hole, kind of sucks you down. but I was doing my blog on cash flow versus profit. And so I asked ChatGPT to write me a poem about the differences between cash flow and profit. And I put it in the blog. I thought it was really good.
Did you see you saw my Christmas blog I did when it first came out? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the most shared LinkedIn posts I think I've ever done. Everybody just got excited about, hey, AI can write a poem. It's definitely made me nicer. I write emails like I write text messages. And so all I do is plug my text message into the ChatGPT and let it
go expand it.
Let it make it a little nicer. So
I had a little fun with ChatGPT. I sent this to you. I sent this to you. Mark asked me what's for dinner, and I said I don't know. And he goes, put it in ChatGPT and tell it to be more respectful.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And so I posted, here's what ChatGPT said. Here's what my response is, and it was short, and there was a B word at the end of it.
You guys.
Jeff enjoys the banter at our house.
So hold on, let's take a little detour. I get to do the detour today. See?
Well, so that's what I'm getting on to you about, because we talked about let's get to know Lisa first, not get into business.
I know, but they can scan either way. Her business is so cool.
It is.
That was part of this. We started doing these because of COVID and not getting to get out and see people. Like
and
I'm already low. Like her pharmacy sounds so cool. I want to go. I want to kind of go and secret shopper and like buy a Snickers or something first and kind of see how everything goes. But it sounds like a place you want to be. Where was I going with that? Oh, 4 kids. You got 4 kids. That's a lot. So tell us about them, what they're doing. And
like, I think you told me one of them does field hockey.
I was thinking they were cool stuff.
No, water polo.
So
we have 4 kids. I love kids. People always ask, like, how do you do it? How do you have 4 kids and this and that and work-life balance? Like, I don't believe in work-life balance. I've been an entrepreneur. I mean, I started my pharmacy, found out I was pregnant all at the same time. It's just all integrated. Like, life is integrated. I think it makes for more resilient kids. I think it makes for just a better life, and we don't have this expectation of like all or nothing. It's just, it's all blended. And I will say, I work my ass off because I have 4 kids. Like, 1, I got to pay for them. Like, they're expensive. But 2, I want them to see like what it means to work hard and what it means to have integrity, what it means to, put in the hours and stuff. And so, I don't think I would be as successful as I am if I didn't have the 4 kids.
Wow,
like, I think
that's
it's
interesting.
Kind of a little bit of a cause and effect.
No, absolutely. Like, Mark attributes his success to Mackie because becoming a dad made him more driven to finish school and build a career.
I'm not sure that's how most millennials feel today. I think you find a lot of people talking, we're actually talking about population decline because a lot of people are choosing not to have kids to prioritize their careers. And what you're saying is that
your kids
I'm a badass because
your kids drive you to
I'm driven to provide.
I hear all of that, and I've seen that, and I feel like, because I think the discussion has always been like this either or. Like, you have a career or you have a family. I'm like, you do both.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a harmful message that it has to be
either
separate.
Or.
Like, you're all in on here, which means you're not over here. It's like, no, like, I go to my kid's water polo tournament. When my kid's in the water, my focus is on him. When he's not in the water, I might be typing a blog, or I might be answering emails, or I might be doing 1,000 other things. And life is good. I'm doing both, and I'm doing both really, really well.
Yep.
And this message to millennials of like this all or nothing, I think it's damaging to them, because I think it's making them choose and sacrifice things that they don't have to. But yeah, they are talking about population decline.
Do you think, though, some of them saw their parents not do that? That they saw their parents put way too much energy into them and just them and not have a balanced life, and they're like, I don't want to do that? Because you look back, I always say, and maybe not the first generation, but the last little bit, everybody before that was like, go outside and don't come in until it gets dark. It wasn't really kids. Kids grew up. They grew up fine. Mama Bear didn't follow them around picking up after them and stuff. And so
we drank from the water hose. God only knows. It's amazing.
Yeah. You want some water? There's the hose,
Stay outside. Don't come in
these
the
kids
house.
today, it's like, I want Kool-Aid, or I want, no, the hose is out there. But I don't think kids are better today because of that. We grew up with an independence, and we grew up with with a piece of that kind of stuff.
My kids would come at me crying if they fell hard on the soccer field. I was like, I don't see any blood. I don't see any broken bones. Get back out there. And they're tougher because of it.
Yeah, I mean, my 12-year-old, so I have a 16-year-old.
Yeah, what are the ages?
So 16, 12, 7, and 5 are their ages. And the 16-year-old is driving now, which is awesome. Like, that has changed our lives.
Yep.
And, he's independent and, all those good things. And the 12-year-olds are a water polo player. And he travels a lot. And he actually just got selected. I'll brag for a moment. He just got selected to the Olympic Development National Team Selection Camp.
Congrats.
So we've had this whole thing where, he's had to go through all these stages. And so this is like the next to the last stage before he gets to see if he gets selected on the national team for his age group. And so he travels to California, and they travel to all these different places. And many times he goes by himself because we're at a show or we're doing something, and he is perfectly fine. Like, he has his own Marriott number. Like, he checks into hotels. Like, he is fully functional. He has his own debit card. Like, that kid can travel the world at 12. And it's awesome. It's nice having that independent.
And is, right? Because you said y'all had a tournament last year in Italy?
Yeah, we went to Italy. Yeah, we went to Italy. We couldn't go to Catalyst last year because we were in Italy. I mean, I had to make a choice.
Yeah, okay. I had my feelings hurt about that, but I think I'm okay now.
Yeah, I probably would have picked Italy too, but I have to run connect, so...
Yep.
Well, I'm still carrying around 10 pounds, I'm sure, of gnocchi from Italy, so.
That's the piece I'm looking forward to, is the pasta and the wine.
Now I'm hungry.
And the cheese.
Yeah. The little tiny old couple restaurants were just the best. Like, those were those.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember you saying how that was your favorite food. Was it in Italy?
Yeah,
that's still on my list.
That was quite good. Yeah, and then we have the 7 and 5-year-old, and they're just, man, those two, we look at them all the time. We're like, God, those two are going to give us like gray hair. Like, it's almost like we have 2 sets of kids, because there's a 5-year age gap. And so we have the 2 older ones, and it's like our life was different when they were little. We had the pharmacy, everything was super structured.
So here's my theory on this. You forgot what it took to break the first 2. They're broken and they're older, and you forgot what you had to do because they're easy now. And it's kind of like parents become grandparents if their kids are too spread out, And do you think, kids are easy?
And I have another theory to add to that.
I will say to that really quick is, so we just moved into our remodeled house, and so life's been a little chaotic because we haven't been living in quote unquote home. And this week we've talked about, it's all about breaking the littles. Like, when they've had such bad habits because life has been chaotic, that they've gotten away with murder.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, me and my husband are like, this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough on us. It's going to be tough on them. But it's like, we've got to break them.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because I have another theory that is, this is my reason, is Cohen, my oldest, she's got it together. She's always been headstrong, independent. My youngest one, days I look at him, I love him. God, I love him. He's pretty. He knows it. That boy's going to clown college.
So let's talk about that. Mackie's been locked out of the house. How many times you locked Cohen out of the house?
Yeah, like I said.
Exactly. You forgot what it took to break the first one. I was interested. I had a TikTok this morning. A guy was talking about his deal with kids. And hang
on.
Okay,
for the record, she only got locked out of the house for like 30 minutes.
And that's all it took.
She got home.
That's right.
She came home from school. And I feel like I've got to defend myself and put some context here. She came home from school, and we have a keypad that you type in the code. I had asked her to do 2 simple chores that shouldn't have taken more than like 20 minutes. And when I woke up the next morning to rinse off a cup and put it in the dishwasher was still full. And I'm like, why didn't this get done? And I'm like, and you walk by the mailbox, you're supposed to bring the mail in. There's like 3 days worth of mail in there. So I'm like, okay. So I took the batteries out of the door so the code would not unlock and open. But I left work early that day to make sure that she only had to sit outside for like 30 minutes worth of punishment. And it was like 65 degrees outside.
It still went home. But you haven't done that with Cohen. And I was listening, to a guy today. He was talking about kids learning the consequences of their things. Like you have a kid who won't get up, right? They won't get up their alarm, and you're going in every morning and going, he's just like, let him oversleep and send a note to the school and say, hey, sorry, he's tardy because he overslept, and whatever punishment you're going to deal out. Let them experience the consequences of life, of their actions themselves, and try to correct.
Yeah, except I don't feel like my parents ever really did that. Like if there was no sleeping in, it was a cold glass of water dripping on my head. Like my parents kept the sippy cup lid, and then my dad would just sit there and just like shake it like a salt shaker on my head. Ice water. It worked.
This all explains a lot.
I'm with you there. We are big fans of letting our kids fail.
Yeah.
Whether it's big or small, as long as they're not going to die, we let them fail. Whether that means climbing up something and a little too high and they're getting scared, it's like, well, you got up there, figure out how to get out. I'm going to catch you. I'll be a safety net, but you're going to get down. Or it's didn't do my homework. I didn't do my report. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a big chunk of regret, isn't it? Like we're big fans of letting them fail because it's better they fail now than fail as 20-year-olds. Because I think that there's like this generation that parents didn't let their kids fail at all.
Afraid to.
Oh my gosh.
Here's your trophy.
And then now they're 20-year-olds.
Well, it's not
and
just
they're
that.
for the first time and they're freaked out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then their parents call us on the phone.
Yeah.
Why is my child failing? Why am I talking to you?
And it's not just that. It's my biggest struggle with Cohen is like, he's like, Mom, can you do this for me? I'm like, no, I'm doing this and this and this. I'm like, you're a big boy. You can do that yourself. Or do I need to put you in the bathtub and wash your hair and wipe your bottom again? And I'm like, you're 14. Figure it out. You know where the tools are. Go get the screwdriver. You know how that works. You know the difference between you watch.
I don't know. YouTube. Watch on YouTube if you don't want to do it.
Sit there and watch YouTube all day. Pick a different YouTube video.
Right. Watch YouTube how to do it and go get it done.
Yeah.
So tell us about, I'm super curious about this produced 2 movies.
Oh, yes. So I'm a big fan of diversification. I mean, I named my company DiversifyRx.
Okay.
I think that's the key to success in pharmacy, but I think it's the key to success in life. Like not having all your eggs in one basket. And so I have a friend that I've done a lot of marketing projects with over the years, and he's been in, kind of, I'll say, Hollywood of different avenues, whether it's radio or documentaries and stuff. And, we were just kind of sitting around one day and, it's like, we should make movies. And he's like, yeah, because he's been done some documentaries and, wanted to get over into, some of the full length feature films. And so
how many glasses of wine in were we at this point?
I think we were so cold sober. It was pizza and Coke. Like, I think it was a little extra caffeine.
I got you. Okay.
We're on a caffeine high. Let's do something awesome.
And so he wrote a script, and, I read it. And it's like, this sounds like a cute little warm-hearted movie. And so that was the first movie that I produced. He was the screenwriter and director. His name's Rick Walker. And it's won a bunch of awards. Let's see, it came out in 2022. Yeah, so like it won a bunch of awards. And then I got a really crazy idea for a movie myself and came up with this whole story and pitched it to Rick, and he wrote the screenplay, and we made another movie, and that one's called The Squad. And so the first one was Second Chances, and actually Second Chances comes out April 28th on Prime Video and Apple TV.
Okay.
And then The Squad, and that's a warm, funny, family-friendly movie. The Squad is not. The Squad is sex, drugs, and violence.
Okay.
And it's about these badass girls. So it kind of all like came together. The story is there's these girls, and they travel to different locations during spring break, and they get everybody hooked on drugs because who expects the cute little girl in a bikini to be the drug dealer? That isn't the image of drug dealer that any of us have.
Right.
And so they fly under the radar and they, become really successful. And so the squad's going to be coming out sometime in May I believe on Apple TV too. It actually won Best Late Night Movie at the Chandler Film Festival recently. It's where we premiered. And we're actually filming the sequel now. So the sequel's been picked up, and we're filming the sequel now.
I gotta up my game. I'm feeling insignificant at this point.
Jeff walks away from some of these podcasts going, I feel really insignificant and an underachiever.
Underachiever.
It was just one of those things. You just knew the right people and you fell into it. And and it's kind of fun. And so now they had whenever these middle of the night moments when I have these crazy ideas. So I have this other idea for a movie. So I pitched to Rick and he's like, oh, that's fantastic. So he's writing the script now. We're hopefully gonna, we'll put it in production and that kind of things. Now we have some really good deals with some distribution networks and, those kinds of things, all that stuff. So I'm learning, I'm new at all this. So this isn't certainly anywhere that I'm an expert in. So I'm definitely learning. So it's fun and new and exciting. And, hopefully it'll diversify our revenue as a family and, give us other opportunities to, make money.
Fantastic.
That is so cool. So for those you've got your DiversifyRx conference is coming up
in August.
Here in Dallas at the
Omni.
And so if people want to know more about that and its website is
DiversifyRx.com is the main website. That's where all of our free stuff is. So go get all the free stuff. Pharmacy Profit Summit is the name of our conference. So you can, you can get to the pharmacyprofitsummit.com from the DiversifyRx. But yeah, that's August 4th and 5th in Dallas at the Omni. What's cool this year and different this year, we try to keep it fresh. We always try to keep it relevant is we're going to have a technician and staff track.
Nice.
So obviously I work with pharmacy owners and pharmacy owners are my people and my jam. But we can't do it alone. You can't have a successful pharmacy without awesome technicians and awesome staff, but they need to know different things than what the pharmacy owner knows. And so we've partnered with NPTA, the National Pharmacy Technician Association, and we've got this big, beautiful space at the Omni here in Dallas. So we're going to have a separate room that's going to be teaching similar but different stuff to the technicians and staff so that they're the ones that are usually doing the work, doing the step by step, whereas the pharmacy owner needs to know the overall strategy, needs to know goals, and, so it's similar but different. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully we can, we always hear of the great wins after the conferences, like after the Pharmacy Profit Summit. It's I put these on solely, so I get to hear all the awesome things that people do. And so I'm really excited that after we have all of this dedicated content for the support people, that it's going to be even better. I'm already anticipating they're going to just be so much more successful because they have a team now that understands what they need to do in order to make it. So
fantastic.
Well, love you. Love your energy and everything you're doing.
Yes, Lisa Faast, super mom.
Yeah, somebody.
Pharmacy badass.
Well, and somebody else out there
day by day.
putting the energy into really trying to save pharmacy. Every time I turn around, you're here, you're posting content, you're coming up with new ideas. I appreciate you trusting us with the pharmacy system. And I appreciate this relationship that's starting to grow and really looking forward to how we can work together to push those missions on further. And
absolutely. Thank you so much, and thanks for all you guys do. I mean, you guys have been sticking to this, for many years. So and it takes a lot of perseverance and resilience to do that. It's easy to tap out. It's harder to stay in. So that's certainly appreciated on our end. And so,
all right, look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode,
please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help us reach more pharmacy professionals like you.